This episode of Mobile Geeks is brought to you by GoToMeeting. Nicole Scott here from Mobile Geeks, and today I'm going to be looking at 20 things that you may not know about Google. So let's get right into it. When Google first started out, co-founders Larry Page and Sergey Brin got a check for $100,000 from the co-founder of Sun Microsystems, Andy Bechtolsheim, and that check was made out to Google Inc. Now, they couldn't actually cash it for about 2 weeks because they had to incorporate a company called Google Inc. Now, Google makes all of their own servers, and that's actually enough servers to put them in the top 5 list of hardware manufacturers globally. But did you know that Google's first server was actually made out of Lego? So it's cost-effective and expandable, and it first housed 10 4GB hard drives. The first ever Google Doodle was made in 1998 in honor of Burning Man. Now, originally, it was an out-of-office message for Sergey Brin and Larry Page while they went to this festival in the desert for a couple of weeks. Now, it's pretty common knowledge that Google got its start at Stanford University as a PhD project that kind of gave context to the World Wide Web. So it allowed the links and pages to kind of come together in what we traditionally know as Google. But did you know the very first Google page was www.google.stanford.com? Now, I'm sure you guys remember former CEO Eric Schmidt. Well, this one time he asked for his information to be removed from the Google Index, and he was turned down because this was against company policy. Google has several free restaurants on campus, and when you first join Google, you usually gain something called the Google 15. It's like the freshman 15 where you gain a bunch of weight. Now, Google's very first chef was a guy by the name of Charlie Ayers, and he actually also cooked for the Grateful Dead. And do you know what Google's first free or complimentary food on campus was? Well, it was Swedish fish. And Google today spends $72 million on complimentary food on its campus. Do you remember back when Google bought YouTube? Well, something you may not know about this purchasing process was the co-founders of YouTube actually went on to Craigslist and offered hot women $100 for every 10 videos that they would upload to the site. Before Andy Rubin sold Android to Google, WebTV founder Steve Perlman actually gave Rubin an envelope with $10,000 in it to keep the company afloat during this process. In 2011, Lowe's was the biggest spender on Google AdWords, and do you know how much they spent that year? $59.1 million. Did you know that Google Maps Street View is also available in 3D? All you have to press is 3 or T. While in Street View, then you should see some red and cyan lines come around the outsides of the buildings, pop on some 3D glasses, and then it should be in 3D. Now, if you are in MapGL, this won't work at all, so make sure that you're in just regular Street View. As expected, Google has on-campus daycare, but did you know that they spend an average of $37,000 a year per child? That's actually $3,000 more than if you were doing your PhD in computer science at Stanford University. Do you like Google's clean and simple homepage? Well, this wasn't the result of a focus group or tons of spending and consumer analysis. When Google first started out, they didn't have a webmaster, and Sergey Brin didn't do HTML. When Google first started out and they had to get office space, they rented Susan's Garage for $1,700 a month. You know the I'm feeling lucky button on Google? Well, because this bypasses Google Ads and takes you directly to the web page, this fun feature actually cost them $110 million a year. Now, since Google's been founded by a bunch of burners, I guess it shouldn't be that crazy that they're pretty green. So instead of lawnmowers, they've hired California Grazing, which is a company that has goats. And instead of lawnmowers, these goats go around and, mow the lawns and fertilize it as they go. Now, when Larry and Sergey were told they had to hire a real CEO, their first and only choice was Steve Jobs, but he was actually busy running Apple. Every single time you click the mouse to search, 1 trillion bits of data are crunched just for you. Now, before we get into why Google was called Google and what the search engine's name originally was, why don't we hear from our sponsor? Now, you know how much more you get done when the entire team is working together on a project. If you haven't already checked out GoToMeeting with HD Faces, you really should. Share the same screen so you all stay on the same page. The built-in HD video conferencing makes it feel like everybody is in the same room. And since you're sharing the same screen, everyone stays on the same page. Launch or join a meeting from anywhere using your computer, smartphone, or tablet. And if you have an iPad, you can even present directly from that. Visit GoToMeeting. Try GoToMeeting free for 30 days. For this special offer, visit gotomeeting.com, click the Try It Free button and use the promo code GEEKS. Now remember to use the promo code GEEKS to support our show. Now how did Google actually get its name? So it was because the duo actually ended up misspelling it. They were meaning to spell Google. Now what does Google mean? So it actually means the number 1 with 100 zeros behind it. So it's to indicate infinite results. But instead they spelled Google, which is a spelling mistake of that. Now, where it gets interesting is this wasn't the first choice for naming the search engine. Actually, they were supposed to call it Backrub. But clearly they thought about it and that was too creepy, so they decided to go with Google. But if you just think about it, what an interesting world that would be if you're arguing with your friends about a fact and then you're just like, hold on, let me backrub that. I think the world's a way less creepy place because they went with Google. So how did I do? Did you guys at least learn a few new things about Google? Now this video was actually inspired by several articles that I found online through Google. If you click the link to the article below, it'll take you that, or you can just Google, and I'm sure that the top few results are the articles that I went through to find these fun facts for you guys. If you haven't already, please subscribe to our channel right over here, and while you're at it, why don't you like this video? I'm your host, Nicole Scott for Mobile Geeks.